another one.
Yeah, it's not. It typically shows up on your page like in purple, right above your chat shared
hmm
together. If that's not showing up on your stream page either for yourself, then
Well, let me see on my page because I'm usually in my settings. I see mine, but I did you try to send one?
yeah, I don't think it's enabled.
All right, let me try this in shared chat. Let's
There
try
you
it
go.
again.
Now it's enabled.
So test 3.
Yeah, I saw that.
There. All right. I don't have too much. I
All
only
right.
have wanted to talk about the producer's letter, the new update, the player's handbook, and if I got time, a little DM stuff. So
All right. Sent
that
you
was
go
it.
first. I got so I
Those,
figured we could watch the new Unearth Arcana video. That'll kill about 17 minutes, and then we could comment off of that.
we only got 59 minutes.
All right, well get get gapping then. Get gapping.
Right? Well, wanted to talk about the producer's letter, so let's go to what we're seeing here is uh Tolero. And let me scroll up here.
And for anybody that doesn't know what we're talking about, the producer's letter is from Dungeons and Dragons Online. Dungeons and Dragons
Yeah.
Online. Todd's got it up on his stream.
Yeah. Of course, they're celebrating the 50th anniversary of D&D, and they have their own anniversary going on, 19 years. They've been distributing free gifts during the Year of the Dragon. The new and final gift is the Dragon Disciple Monk archetype, which is free for everyone to claim. It says here. They released the Magic of Myth Draenor expansion, which is from the limited exposure I've had to that is pretty cool. Actually, it's almost right on. There was a couple things that I was not, I was sad about, like they didn't include like the Cult of Moander, and because that goes back to those gold box games, Curse of the Azure Bonds and Pools of Pool of Radiance
Pools of
and
Radiance,
those
yeah.
games. But
Can I interrupt you real quick?
needless to say,
When you say they released Magic and
well,
Myth
he's a
Draenor,
dead god.
do you mean
Um,
are they
is
making
what I
it?
was told in one chat where I just said, dead gods and deities die all the time, and they come back, and they have cults too. So, I mean, could have been a possibility. Um, the wild magic areas, Ravenloft themed lanterns in the mist. I was very limited in, I don't know how much you did of that, if any, but I was very limited in what I did with that. Did you partake in that, or?
I did not.
Okay. Okay. Of course, the new 64-bit server, Cormier. How was your experience on there?
So from playing on Cormare, I thought it ran really smooth. I didn't
Mhm.
notice. I mean, I only played probably a total of maybe 4 hours on it, but the 4 hours I was there, it ran very well. A noticeable difference compared to when we were playing together on Thelanis, where it was business lag as usual.
Mhm.
So
Right. Yeah.
definitely a marked improvement over the current server.
Okay. They are there's going to be a raid. It says the raid will this story culminates with a raid being released. for all DDO players soon. The raid will release shortly after our anniversary and features a new enemy we are very eager to see people battle, a Hydra. There's still plenty of time to get your lantern rewards as well, since the event runs through April 15th on Cormier, and you can read about it more on DDO.com. I'm, you know, probably not going to do the lanterns, but I'm very interested to see this Hydra.
Yeah, I
So,
remember what they were talking about it, a year and a half ago about the development and how they were going to design it. So I did know that that was on the horizon.
mhm. um, I would have tested it earlier when they had all the testing, but I couldn't get the Lamania installer to work back then. I finally got it working now, but of course, Lamania is closed. So I'll have to wait until the next time it opens to partake in that. New Worlds, they're talking about again the 64-bit Cormier server, which has been for the most part really, really good performance wise. They it's come with a few little hiccups, but other than that, it's been great from my experience anyways. And their team worked hard to, make sure there was very limited lag.
All
And
three of them.
so far so good. What's that?
All three of them on the team.
All three of them. Well, they hit that lag onion pretty good.
Yeah, right.
Now we can
Well,
get
I will say this though: they hit the lag onion, right? But they broke how mobs the AI function. They just kind of stand there, which
yeah. And it seems like hirelings are dumber than they normally are.
I know I'm
Eh,
gonna have a controversial opinion, but they need to just remove hirelings.
I am dependent on hirelings because I solo a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that's the answer. I think the answer is finding out the root problem of what's going on with the hirelings and fixing that. Um, I think they're well capable of doing that, I believe. So, but, if they gotta get rid of them, they gotta get rid of them. But how are you as a solo player gonna go, "Okay, well, now I don't have a hireling that I can have for my, let's just say, barbarian, and I need a healer on my team." So
I mean, yeah, I get it. I get it. You can't be chugging pots, and so I mean, back in the day, how I used to solo was just chug pots. It was exhausting.
right,
It took forever,
right. Yeah.
but you know, of course, that's never going to happen. But my thing is seeing the mobs just kind of freeze like this, and then let you
Yeah,
attack them with impunity. Kind of, I don't know.
right, yeah. Unless, I could see them doing away with the hirelings and possibly doing away with hireling problem if they doled out more in the way of healing somehow. Find a solution. If you're gonna get rid of the hirelings, find a solution to maybe it's on the higher, on elite and up, make shrines available, you know, have a certain limit or unlimited and not you can't rest at this shrine anymore.
Make shrines great again. I'm all about that.
Mm, good. Um, they're gonna have a 64-bit game server in Europe. So for all the European players, that's good news for them. I
Oh,
don't know the
I mean,
the percentages of players over there, but
Well, my thing is, oh, they're gonna on Cormair. So when they switch over to
Mhm,
Cormair, they'll have it. Okay, all right.
mhm.
That's not too terrible then.
And then from the information I've gathered, this is not official. There could be 2 European servers, 2 64-bit servers to start. They're gonna I believe, Cordo said on Fridays at 4 that they're going to keep the 32-bit servers.
For what? I
I
mean,
don't know.
why? Oh, we're
I
gonna keep this barely running, put together, held together with Scotch tape and
well,
and wads of old gum underneath your desk. We're gonna
you
keep
know,
that what for posterity? What? Uh,
I don't know. And do and again, don't hard quote me on that because, that might not be. I might have heard wrong,
right,
but I
right.
thought that he said or that they were saying that, they weren't gonna show basically, what should happen, and I know we've talked about this till we're blue in the face, is you have 3 to 4 64-bit servers. Take Cormier and your top 3 populated servers and do away with the other ones. Give everybody free reign to give all their characters and transfer them where they wanted transfer them, right?
Yeah, yeah. You need to.
Or
You need these the fracturalization of this game needs to just go away. They don't have a population
Mhm,
large enough to support multiple servers.
mhm,
You're breaking up whatever limited, let's face it, whatever limited player base you still have playing this game. It's a
mhm.
small but fiercely loyal player base, which is good.
Very,
But you
yeah,
don't want them spread all across the board because it just makes the game feel dead.
right. Or you just have one server to rule them all.
That's what I would do. One server to rule them all. One EU and one
Yep,
US or North America, whatever you want to call it. That's all I would
yep,
do. Done.
yep. So, other than the server stuff, we have, they have updates and the new archetype.
Dragon Disciple. It looks like I didn't know that was on the horizon.
I have started one, so actually started two. Uh, so we'll see how those work out. Um, says here they're working on the next batch of rewards for the VIP loyalty reward program. Hopefully, it's not another ship that follows you around. Um,
That needs a revamp.
it,
That was
it
pretty
yeah,
terrible.
it does. I would much prefer an item or give me a cosmetic that's worth it. You know, give me something of substance. You know,
I will argue that the Year of the Dragon rewards were better than the VIP rewards.
they were. Absolutely, I
Yeah.
agree with you. Yep. You see here, I got the 2025 development roadmap. They got Q1's got the performance improvements on Cormier, which I mean, that's going very well. Their 19th anniversary celebration, the Dragon Disciple archetype, which we talked about, the monk rework. I've heard grumblings and I've seen grumblings on the forums about what they've done with the monk rework. I don't play a monk that often, but I do have what one, two, three or four now. So we'll see how that is. And then that new raid with the Hydra. Quarter two, they hope to have the new 64-bit worlds. They're going to have a dungeon contest, VIP rewards year two. I mean, whatever that may be, PAX East community event. I won't be there. I know you've been talking about being there, and
I'll be
because
there.
that's in your backyard. So
Yep.
why don't you expound on that a little bit?
I don't know what they're doing this year, but last year they had it at a brewery by the Water District in Boston. So it was kind of like a microbrew, and it was a really large space, and it was really cool. So it was EverQuest online, and it was Dungeons and Dragons online, and Lord of the Rings online. As you know, DDO and Lotro are basically under the same umbrella company. And I believe Cordo is the community manager for both games.
Yes.
So there was a lot of Lotro players there, and a lot of D&D players, and a lot of EverQuest players too. A lot of EverQuest devs were there. They didn't really decorate. They had like a couple of paper swag there, just so people would know. But other than that, but it was pretty cool. They had a raffle. We got to meet the developers and meet and greet. You know, it was very chill, very low key. You know, they actually gave us it was free to attend. You got a ticket for a free drink. And then they also had raffles. I won a module, 5th edition module, the Dragonlance one. Which it's the one with, I'll be right back. I don't remember.
Shadow of the Dragon Queen.
That's exactly it. Shadow of the Dragon Queen. I won that. I won a module, and Nacho Winch won a module too. So, but it was good. I got to meet Nacho. I got to meet Maverick the Gamer. I met Voodoo. I met Strim Tom. I met Cozy. Who else did I meet? I met Yvanis. Trying to think who else I met while I was there.
Lots of people.
Yeah, I met lots of people. It's not popping into my head right now. But it was really cool. It was a really good time. I was apprehensive about going because I'm kind of shy at social events, especially when I don't know people. But everybody was super nice, like really nice. It was quite fun, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself.
Right.
It was good. It was a good little event. I mean, there was probably 250 people there, 300 max with all 3 games. But there was just enough people that it didn't feel dead, and there wasn't too much people that we couldn't, have conversations and talk and get to know each other too. And it was a really good layout. I can't remember the name of where they had it though. Can't remember the name of the brewery. I don't know if Nacho's watching, if she remembers, but it was good. It was a good event. If anybody has the opportunity to attend, I would. I absolutely would. Nacho, welcome in. We're talking about last year's PAX East meet and greet, and I was saying how it was such an awesome time meeting you, Voodoo, Yvanis, Cozy, Maverick the Gamer. Do you remember the name of the brewery? I was trying to tell Todd about it. I was giving him a description of the interior layout, but I didn't remember the name of the actual brewery.
you got what, 5,000 breweries in the metro Boston area,
right?
so.
And it was one I never went to, and I don't ever really hang out. But I have stayed at the Seaport before.
Yeah,
but it was over by the Seaport. It was really nice. I was impressed. They did a really good job, and hopefully, the same people will be attending this year. And it's a shame you can't go. You need to win the lotto. And
I need to win some sort of lottery because,
I need to win the lotto, and I'll fly you guys out. But you're not bringing the murderess, because her and Squeak will kill whatever enemies are for us, and I will get no glory or loot.
Well, she'll be at the game as far as I know this coming weekend, so strap yourself in. Your glory day is behind
It's
you.
oh my god. You know, I knew last session would be a fleeting. I knew it. Now I'm gonna be emasculated and reduced to nothing again.
Uh so yeah, we got that for quarter 2, quarter 3. So quarter 3 is what I'm looking forward to because it's the Lamortia expansion. And if nobody knows what Lamortia is, it is a place, a domain of dread. They call them domains of dread, or they did last time I knew. They probably might not call them that anymore, but this is a domain in the Ravenloft setting. It is now ruled by Victra Mordenheim. Victor Mordenheim no longer is the uh,
Oh, was
ruler of the domain.
retconned or
It was retconned, much to my dismay. Uh, they've yet again torn out a piece of Ravenloft that is or was pretty cool. Victor, who would equate to Dr. Frankenstein,
right?
right? Created Adam, and Adam would be equal to Frankenstein's monster, right? Well, Adam was pure evil, and you know what they've been doing with evil
Yeah,
in
yeah.
D&D? They've been watering it down or taking it out and removing it, or just you know packaging it up and putting it in a box and put it over there. And if you know about it, you know about it, and you can homebrew it. And if you don't know about it, you might not ever know. Um, Adam is no more. Apparently, I couldn't find anything on Adam other than the older 2E and 3E uh, info. So Victor created Adam. Adam, now it's Victra, who is a I don't know if it's his daughter or if it's I couldn't find anything on that either. And mind you, Wizards has never been great with retconning and fully explaining what happened. But Victra is the new uh, domain lord of Lamortia, and she made, and well, I want to get this correct, so let me pull this up.
While you're doing that, just for a clarifier, are you talking about WotC retconned the lore itself, and DDO and Dungeons and Dragons Online is just following in line, or is this just in Dungeons and Dragons Online?
I do not know how they followed that storyline.
Okay,
I do not know if they're sticking with the older lore or they have, the newer lore. Um, I can't really uh say what they're doing. I don't know where they're going with that, but
gotcha. I
let's
actually just
see.
got Curse of Strahd and Van Richter's Guide to Ravenloft.
I believe she's in Van Richten's guide.
Okay.
So let me pull this up here. Okay, Dr. Victra Mordenheim is the Dark Lord of Lamortia. Um,
I used to, Steve, and welcome in. I used to read the dialogue. Now I don't. I know Todd reads every piece of dialogue when he's questing.
no, I
Every
don't.
every piece of dialogue from the lowest kobold to the
Jeez.
mightiest of dragon.
Here we go. Here we go. Story time with Warhammer has started.
Nacho, you're being fired as a researcher. We're chomping at the bit for the name of that brewery.
Okay, here we go. Victra grew up as a minor noble with enough wealth to support a voracious curiosity in humanoid anatomy. She taught herself medicine as a child. As the prodigy she was, she earned a doctorate in medicinal science while just a teen. Blah, blah, blah. Doesn't say anything about her parents. Over time, she became more and more convinced she couldn't just preserve and create life, but she could even cheat death itself. So she made Elise. So Elise was a body snatcher with a carefree attitude that she found enticing and developed a deep affection for. When Elise developed an incurable wasting disease, Victor worked rapidly to find a cure for this disease, fearing the worst. So she did that. Eventually, Elise fell into a sleep for which she couldn't be awakened, and Victor worked day and night on an organ that could never be diseased or cause the ceasing of life. She called it the unbreakable heart. She sewed the heart into its place, replacing Elise's own heart. But as she did this, constables broke in her laboratory and arrested Victor for her body snatching crimes. Victor did not get a chance to see if her new organ had worked, but through the smoke and the confusion, she could see the heart glowing from Elise's chest before being knocked unconscious. It was at this point Victor was pulled into the mists of Ravenloft, finding herself in Lamortia. Again, no mention of if she's any relation to Victor, but I guess, last name, I would assume so. But again, it's wizards, so you never know. Um, so it's now Adam has been replaced with Elise, and Victor Mordenheim has been replaced with Victra Mordenheim. Now, I'm not upset about the um oh, it's a female. No, that's not it at all. It's the retconning and the storyline and the removal of it. I mean, a really evil character in Adam and replacing it with, what are you replacing it with? Are you replacing it with, a brain in a jar, or are you replacing it with another Frankenstein's monster type?
Yeah. No, I don't mind it. So, I mean, look, we've already had Victor for 45 years, right? It's okay to kind of create another character that's going to lead the charge. I mean, that's life too, right?
Hmm.
Management turns over, so I don't mind that.
Hmm.
Used to fill Wizards of the Coast vending machines. Those guys were never at their workstations. Well, Todd used to work at a WotC store.
Yeah,
Interestingly enough.
they never came into the store either.
So I
Oh,
pulled up the brewery. Nacho was gracious enough. It's called Harpoon Brewery.
oh, Harpoon. Okay.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
Boston. So I,
Yeah.
I have it on my stream. I was hoping that they would have had pictures of the interior so you could kind of get a look for it, but they don't. That I'm finding. Appearance, traditional German beer hall. That's it. No photos.
Yeah.
That's it. Kind of a weak.
Of course not. So they have the new Dampier race, which again, another great um addition to DDO, I think. A new landscape will be coming out. So Lamortia um is like,
So Damp Fair, in case anybody doesn't know, it's kind of like half vampire, half human.
yes.
Even though
Uh
even though fifth
coastal.
even though
Go ahead.
fifth edition retconned half races. Hey, crazy, welcome in.
Exactly.
So, but that's what those
Lamortia
are.
Lamortia is a bleak domain often lashed by cold northern winds that brought blizzards, so it's a coastal region. Um, it will make for a great setting, so I'm anxiously waiting to see what they do with this.
My thing is, hopefully they make it big enough. That's some of my problems with. So with the Underdock, too
It's not
small.
big enough.
It's not
Right.
big enough. Evening Star, too small. It's not big
Mhm.
enough.
Mhm.
It's not big enough. They have like they put out these micro terrains just to give us, pay homage to these different zones, but they don't make them big enough, especially with
Yeah.
such iconic locations. And now I
I got a
can't.
shout out. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Get your shout out.
No. Go ahead.
I can't speak on Myth Draenor because I do not own the expansion. But how is that one? Is it about the same size as some of the other expansions, or is it a little bit bigger?
I couldn't tell you because I haven't had enough exposure to Myth Drannor
Okay,
to say, oh, it's bigger than Underdark or
it's
it's bigger than Evening Star, but I would guess to say from what I have seen that it's a lot bigger.
okay. Nacho saying it was bigger too,
Yeah.
and
I'm gonna
I estimated about how many people Nacho at the last PAX community event. It was what, about 250 people there,
while
roughly.
that while we wait for that, I'm gonna give shout out to Nostalgia Steve. So we're gonna get the Titanic theme, maybe.
Yeah,
Nothing's worked.
I
Nothing's
said there
worked.
was what, EverQuest. It was EverQuest, DDO, and Lotro. Yeah, it was about
Mhm.
250 people. It was cool. That's a good number for me, Nacho. Anything more than that, it would have been too cramped in there, I think. But I was telling Todd they threw a pretty good little event. We got a free drink. They had a raffle. I know I won something. You won something. We all got to meet some developers, a community manager, and hopefully people will be in attendance again this year. I know I'm going to be there. And I'm actually trying to get some people from my pen and paper group to attend on Saturday, the actual event.
Nice. And then to wrap this up, we got Core 4's got a live event, opt-in hardcore like Fey shenanigans. I've had enough of the Feywild to last me for quite a while and more. So um there's that. And then and I you know, Nacho can speak to this better than I can. About the servers that they're going to be, I thought I had heard two servers in the EU and two servers here that are 64-bit. So, um, in the 32-bit servers, were they going to keep them or not?
Yeah, we were discussing that, Nacho, if you're there. I think that they should just retire the 32-bit servers. There's no
Well,
need
they
for
ought to.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they ought
Time to
to.
put them out to pasture.
So there's that. Now we're gonna. Do you have anything on this that you want to speak to, or are you
The
good with moving forward?
the only thing that I want to speak on is a Return of Ravenloft is pretty good. I kind of like that idea. I would like to see them, instead of always exploring new areas, although I thought Myth Drano was cool. Again, they make them a little too short, but if they do this frequently enough, then in my opinion, it's okay, right? So returning back to Ravenloft, even though we already have a Ravenloft, but that's good because it's another zone. I want to see like a return to the Underdark, flesh that out. I want to see the greatness of, let's say, Menzo Baranzan, right? Or another Drow city. I don't think we'll see that, but maybe the Drow are throwing some festivals in the streets. But but I would like to see them do that, to cycle back to other zones and kind of flesh them out in more depth. And like Nostalgia Steve said, huge area is Undermountain. There's so much content there and so much lore with the Dungeon of the Mad Mage. I mean, if they brought that to DDO, that's a W in my opinion. And there's so much lore there that they could really do something very exciting, in my opinion, and get back
And
to
yeah.
dungeoneering.
Mhm. If they put Kelvin Blackstaff Aronson in there because he's the Mad Mage, that would be awesome. What they need to do is take a look at how Neverwinter did the Undermountain and the Underdark, and take notes from Neverwinter. In my opinion, that's
Uh,
how you build.
I
That's
mean
how you build these regions to travel to.
you mean the video game Neverwinter?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No,
The one that I left, on that 6 month, quest that I didn't want to undertake because it's, the they try to drag money out of you.
yeah, of course, right. I mean, that's the problem with a free to play game, but I do like
Mhm.
the premise behind it, and I think these guys should take a page out of that book
Mhm.
for sure.
Yeah.
And like Nostalgia Steve said, Undermountain would be perfect. Perfect. You have Skullport, and you have all the different
Mhm.
factions. You have all the different Xanathar's Guild, the Harpers. You have some reoccurring themes that are already out there. The Harpers from Evening Star. You have the I don't think that you could go kind of circle back to the Durgar. Like when you meet them in House K. You don't
Mhm.
you don't really see them too much in some of the new stuff. I may be wrong, but a lot of like
Mhm.
the new expansions, you don't see any of the Durgar. I'm with
Mhm.
you though. Feywild, let's not circle back to that. But even if they want it, you got some Planescape ideas. There's a lot on the table. But I would
Mhm.
like to see some more dungeoneering, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Ravenloft's good though too, because that's that's still viable. People run Ravenloft a lot while leveling.
Yeah, and Lamornia is the Victorian type setting. So it's very Victorian. And from what I recall from second and third edition is it, each domain, and there used to be, I think, 12, but that was the Victorian type area
Yeah,
with Victorian type horror.
yeah, gothic horror type
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah. So, um another area I would like to see them branch out to is the area around Thay and the what they call the unapproachable east in Forgotten Realms. I think that would be awesome to at some point, maybe 2026, maybe 2027, go back and enter the domain of the Red Wizards.
yeah.
You've laid the groundwork for it already.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, do a circle back, right? I don't mind that
Mhm.
at all. Hey, this
Mhm.
year, every 2 years, we're going to circle back to something that we already released.
You
The only,
have a lich that rules Thay. He's the what they so they have 8 what they call Zulkirs, and the Zulkir of necromancy, because they had a Zulkir for each school of magic. The Zulkir of necromancy, Zastam, is the ruler of Thay, and he was the one in the D&D movie, right?
right, Honor Among Thieves.
So bring him in the game. That would be huge, I would bet, to bring him into the game and go over there and to fight not only his army of undead, but to fight him. I
What
think
they
that would be awesome.
what they kind of fail to capitalize on, in my opinion, is, and what Marvel does better, is you need to hit right exactly that. When people watch the movie. That
Hmm.
would be just a quick little plug or something. It would be a good way to get people into your game, right? Bring some of those characters into the game. I noticed, just as this is going to be an aside, but Call of Duty, you can buy a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle skin now for $90, right? So you can play as Donatello, Michelangelo, right? And Call of Duty, you
Hmm.
know?
Hmm.
So the only thing to circle back to this developmental roadmap Don't remind you. I know, right? I saw that the other day and I was like, oh, I caramba. You got killed by Splinter? Nice. Shredders out there on the battlefield. So the developmental roadmap, I think it looks pretty good. They're not getting too over ambitious, right? They're keeping it grounded with what they can actually probably put out, given
Mhm.
given the size of their development team. The only thing that I wish that they would have leaned to a little bit more is new dungeon content, right? That's
Mhm.
like a okay, that's clickbait for me. Like, what do you got in mind, right? Just a
Mhm.
little something. Give me something other than new dungeon content. That is so vague, but it's probably on purpose too. Probably to kind of build a little bit of hype, but hopefully we'll use Nacho to get Cordo a double shot of whiskey at the community event, and we can find out what the new dungeon content is.
So I do want to touch upon something I saw in the forums that kind of intrigued me is somebody was complaining about, well, the developers only listen to 4 people that play the game. And I don't, you know, whether it's 100% fact or 100%, you know, fiction, I don't know. I'm not going to speculate. But what I think DDO ought to do is take a page, and I'm going to say this, and I, don't know what's wrong with me. Don't ask. I don't know what isn't wrong with me, so don't ask about that either. What they ought to do is take a page out of Wizard's book and open an unearthed arcana and get everybody's input that plays the game on, hey, we're doing this. What do you think of this?
Oh yeah, so Elder Scrolls Online just did that probably 8 months ago. They did exactly that. They put it out. They put it out for community feedback. So all the players they
Mhm.
sent it out, and they wanted feedback from everybody. So I know Nacho can speak on this, but there is a community council, is there not, in Dungeons and Dragons Online? And if so, how many people are actually on that? And are they streamers, or do you have to be a streamer, or can you just be a long-term player that there's an application process?
There is a council because I listen to the DDO Players News podcast, so they're always talking about that. I think one of them might have been on that council.
See, the pitfalls with a council like that and a long-term player is they have different they have a it's a different lens that they're looking at the game from, right? So if I'm a super long-term player, I have a guild, I'm already established, I already know all the ins and outs and the workings of the game, but you also have to remember too, the goal of the game should be its lifespan. So you want to also be attracting new players. So for me, I would
Mhm.
want feedback from, like you said, I would want feedback from everybody. I would want a mega sample from
Mhm.
everybody that plays the game. You know,
Right.
from somebody who just experienced Korthos for the first time, or somebody who's been, running raids for the last 15 years. We need to hear. You need to hear from everybody, because
Mhm.
the game is for everybody, and the new
Mhm.
players are what's gonna also keep the lights on for the next 10 years as well.
Right. Exactly. So, had a good time to transition over to what they're doing with update 72.
Yeah, send it. There is a players council. Number of participants is unknown, and they are chosen from those who applied and have to sign an NDA. Okay, I mean that's fair too. That's fair too. But you should also be sampling, and I'm
I don't
sure.
know
I
about
mean, maybe they do. I don't know, but you should also be sampling newer players as well.
Oh, you should be definitely getting feedback from your players. Definitely.
Okay, you don't have to be a streamer. Okay, got it.
So with release 72, we're getting what are we getting? Not only the 19th anniversary, but we have let's see, anniversary event. Find the portal to the anniversary event next to Genoa, but from Benfor near the Fjarlin chapter house. Runs through the 18th of March. And now through March 11th, you get plus 19 heroic. Yeah, spit it out, Todd. Heroic and epic XP.
See,
19 plus 19% guild renown, plus 19% Reaper XP and crafting XP as well.
my take, great. I love the event, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just run it for the whole month. Why does it have to end on the 18th? Run it the whole month and call it a day.
Mm-hmm. Additionally, starting on March 5th through the 11th, they'll have a Champion Hunter Week. Find the mysterious remnants vendor in the Eberron Hall of Heroes. Oh, good. Another vague mention of something going on. Reminder, free access to 64-bit Cormier server continues through April 15th. You can read that on DDO.com. We have the free Dragon Disciple, which I just picked up and made a couple of characters. So we'll see how that goes. Again, I don't know about the specifics behind the monk rework, but I have a Dragon Disciple monk archetype, 2 of them, and we'll see how it goes.
Oh, nice. Nice, Steve. Steve saying that the champion hunter has some nice rewards.
Okay.
That's good. I'd rather have events like that than, the silly winter festivus type one.
Mm-hmm.
These events, in my opinion, they're more enjoyable.
I'm going to, what I have from the lanterns that I've got, I know Nacho and I were I ran with Nacho and I got some lantern stuff. I'm just gonna give her all my lanterns stuff because I'm not gonna use it. So, and I don't have much of it. What else?
Free anniversary gifts.
Yeah, what is it? A tugboat that follows you around and a yacht that follows you around?
Hold on, let me read. Now through March 18th, speak to the genie, and House Fiala to claim your free anniversary scarf. It keeps coming back. Once per day per character, you can pick up as many scarves as many times as you wish. The Jinn can also be found in the Eberron Hall of Heroes. To receive 10% discovery boost for 6 hours, which provides 10% chance to receive named loot that stacks with elixirs of discovery. You can speak to the Jinn again to reacquire this buff for as long as the anniversary event is active through March 18th. And again, through March 18th. Just make it the whole month.
Mm-hmm.
Mimic event is kind of fun. Nothing like getting wrecked by the end chest. Yeah, exactly. Right? Like buff some of these mobs. Make some fun, laughable moments.
So here are the monk changes. Now that I get a good chance to read this. Overall class adjustments. The monk combo system and its builders finishers has been retired. Many of its effects have moved into the monk enhancement. You benefit from increased melee power and positive healing amplification for a short time. Okay. Oh, he always does.
Not just sorry. Not just said, did you BRB right in the middle of him talking? I said, yes, old man bathroom break.
Look, I keep offering to send him a box of Depends so he sits there through the whole thing. I mean, they're comfortable. I'm wearing 2 right now. Core 4 of Grandmaster of Flowers is now Disciple of Philosophy, multi-selector. Disciple of Philosophy, light plus 3% dodge bypass plus 10 magical resistance rating cap. You gain special versions of the Stunning Blow and Stunning Fist feats, which deal 1d10 light damage on hit that scales with 200% melee power. Note these appear as separate feats in your feat list. You may take monk enhancements that require fists of light. Disciple of Philosophy Dark. I gotta read this. It's
It's awesome,
funny
Steve.
while it's funny while it's warm. After it gets cold, it just grows. You should make his window a carton of milk. Have you seen it?
Have you seen?
Uh, Disciple of Philosophy Dark plus 3%. So it's what? It's pretty much the same thing. Plus 3% dodge bypass, plus 10 magical resistance rating cap. You gain a special version, or you gain special versions of the Stunning Blow and Stunning Fist feats, which deal 1d10 poison damage on hit that scales with 200% melee power. Note these appear as separate feats in your feat list. You may take monk enhancements that require Fists of Darkness. And then an action point cost across Ninja Spy, Shintao, and Henshin Mystic have been reduced primarily in tier 5 of each tree. Will that be that? That's a lot.
I've never played a monk, so I have no idea if these changes are a boon or a bane. So if anybody in chat knows, please share your feelings on monk. But they're adding ninja. Interesting.
Ninja Spy's been in there as far as I know.
In the monk class?
Mm-hmm. Ninja Spy, Shintao, and Henshin Mystic. But again, somebody, I have limited knowledge in playing of a monk character. So again, somebody in chat that has more experience with that can comment on that. I'm not going to read the rest of it because it's just, this is a huge laundry list.
Yeah,
Just go to
I was just
go to
gonna
the update
say
notes.
this is a
It's a lot.
huge change,
Mhm.
huge rework. It was
Mhm.
was Monk lagging that far behind, or is this just because of Dragon Disciple?
Good question, because I don't remember. No, Monk's been around for a while, I believe. I don't know how long.
Oh God, since 20. When did I leave the game? 20. Since like 2008 or 2009. Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
like
okay,
like
Steve.
Steve says, yeah. I had read in the forums and remember there being some issues. So yeah.
I remember when Monks first came out, they were weak sauce. They weren't even mid. They were just they're kind of weak. But that was way back in the early days, like 2008, 2009.
They're not weak in the pen and paper, and never have been
No.
weak in the pen and paper version. And I
This is a
played
lot.
extensively in the pen and paper version. Yeah, just go check out the update notes in update 72, and I'll drop that link in chat.
I don't see. So there was one change that Nacho brought up the other day that I kind of wanted to touch on. It was about XP.
Mm-hmm.
Changes to XP coming. Do you know anything about that?
I've heard sprinklings of something, but I don't know exactly what's going on with that. So
Okay.
I can't speak to that.
So they were supposed to change. I believe Nacho said it was an adjustment to XP earnings, and it's more front loaded. So to kind of get you more past lives under your belt, which I think is probably a good thing.
That seems like it would benefit new players then.
Yep. I think they need a catch up mechanic. They really do. To get some
definitely.
past lives under their belts.
Definitely. And a mustard and relish one too. Name two continents, mustard and relish.
Exactly.
It's from Shorzy. I don't know if you watch Shorzy or not. But
nope.
good show. You ought to watch it. It's funny as hell. I don't know if anybody in chat watches Shorzy, but I'm a big Shorzy fan.
It really benefits everyone with 7 or less lives. Yeah, I mean,
Well,
that's perfect, right?
then that would benefit me because I only have one character on Kyber that has one past life. So
Yeah, monks were good in pen and paper. Cavalier, yeah, I'm
Cavalier
surprised
was
that.
the other one.
Yep.
Yeah. Cavalier where I played a Cavalier in what, first and second edition? I believe it was in the original rules cyclopedia as well for the Cavalier. And the Cavalier was awesome. Monks were awesome. So,
Yeah, past lives catch up mechanic would be great as long as they don't kind of nerf XP for the people that already have multiple past lives. That's good too because
mhm,
I mean, I know myself, I'll never get completionist. I'll never have 194 past lives. That's just not going to happen. I don't have that kind of time anymore,
mhm, yeah.
but that's good for the newer players because it past lives are kind of splits the player base a little bit, you know?
Yes.
It
Yeah.
really does.
So
So
you can
I'm
also catch up. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was just gonna add that, I think everybody that's in chat knows where the update notes are, and they probably read them already. So, um, you know, Dragon Disciple Monk, I'm interested in this very much so. So I'm gonna, be playing that a little bit. Um, all the stuff here again, a huge laundry list there. Reincarnation changes been made to the true reincarnation system to defer when the increase to required XP begins in heroic levels, which we were just talking about. The other changes, so the Party Crashers quest, which has been wonky for a while, I believe, has been adjusted for improved performance. Several of its rooms have had their layout or lighting further modified. I wonder how much that will make a difference. I'd be interested in finding out.
Didn't they shut down a couple other quests forever? Is it Party Crashers or there was another one too? I know they shut down probably 6 months ago.
Party Crashers, they reopened. It had been shut down for a while. As far as anything else, I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay. Memoir was taken down. Okay.
Which one was that? Memoir? Where was that?
Trying to think. I think it was in what it was. I believe it was in one of the houses.
One in the
Oh,
harbor where you teleport around in
across
the
from
circle.
Dirks. Okay. I wonder if the teleporting was causing your hirelings
Okay.
to brain lock.
Well, hirelings in brain lock managed to keep
Get
that
rid of the
on par.
hirelings. Get rid of them. Make monsters great again. Bring back
You
my
know,
reactionary monsters.
um,
All right. Do you have
but
anything?
yeah, fixed an issue where VIP reward buffs could disappear upon death. Now we all know that Todd dies a lot, and we all know that Todd's characters die a lot. I never noticed this until um, it happened to me. I don't know how long ago, but oh my god, I'm like, are you kidding me? So hopefully that's fixed. Um,
Exactly, Ostrakar. I was talking about that the last time we played. I'm like, I was complaining, saying, "Look at this. The mob is just literally standing there, like a DPS test dummy. It's
mhm,
not even moving. It's
mhm,
terrible.
mhm. Um,
It's terrible. I'd much rather have monsters that react and moved, and instead of just standing still because they wanted to fix the hirelings. It's the lesser of two evils. Just turn off the hirelings till you can figure it out.
Yeah. And that's all I got for the new update. So
I mean, that's looking, again, I'll circle back to what I already said. That is tempered expectations. At least they didn't, put out a ton of stuff and can't deliver on anything. They should be able to deliver on all these. And that's good. It's good that they're continuing the events, keep the hype up around the game. They're coming up with some new ideas. I think that's good. But like I said already, though, when the Year of the Dragon rewards were better than the VIP loyalty rewards, they need to rework Year 2. They really do.
Yeah. So now I want to talk about, because I've read the entire player's handbook.
Okay.
Go over some stuff. I want to go over some stuff, and some stuff that we will well, not probably, we are going to revisit. First one being and I got an ad on my channel. How awesome. The terminology update: species replaces race. And I know we've talked about that at great length. I don't know if we need to talk about it anymore, other than they're trying to evolve the game and hit certain what's the word I'm looking for?
I'll say this: they're trying to modernize the game with having cultural sensitivities in the forefront of their design choices, and moving away from the more classic descriptors. I'm kind of okay with it. Like we talk about all the time, right? Because I can either adopt it or I can drop it off.
You just got raided.
Oh, thank you for the raid, Bracart. Welcome in, viewers. I appreciate it. Hope you had a great stream. Thanks for being here. We just wrapped up our DDO segment. Hey, we just wrapped up our DDO segment, and Todd is segueing us into the 2024 Player's Handbook. And we're talking about the change from the phrase of race to species. Kind of a hot button topic with some circles, but hey, neutral. Go ahead, Todd.
I mean, it is. Listen, if you're gonna let it bother you, then you probably shouldn't be playing. It was widely talked about in community feedback, from what I've read, in certain channels. I'm not at all, bothered by it whatsoever. It's a word. Words are words, as far as I'm concerned. That's like when people say, "Oh, you shouldn't swear like that." Well, it's just a word, so just please stop. It's a word. You know, I make the joke that words hurt when we're all razzing each other, and we're you know roasting each other, but you know words won't
Oh,
hurt
thanks,
you.
Hastingo. Appreciate it.
Words won't hurt you if you don't let them. So
Yeah.
species replacing race, that's fine with me. Doesn't bother me whatsoever.
I mean, and again, too, it's hard. So it is hard. It is hard to appeal to. I mean, think about most games, right? Most games, people, when they play them when they're children, that doesn't carry across decades into adulthood. There are a lot of games that people will play in their youth that they will not play as adults. And I can understand where Wizards of the Coast is coming from, where they try to get you to play or get involved in their IP, right? They want you interested in Dungeons and Dragons, whether it be books, playing the game from a very young person. And they're trying to appeal to the widest, largest audience possible. And, obviously, I'm I'm 53 years old, right? So obviously my view of the world and is going to be different than somebody that's, 14. And I think they're trying to kind of make some corrections where it appeals to a larger mass audience. And some of the audience is going to be a little bit more sensitive to certain words that don't bother me at all, right? But like you said, it's just it's a tweak, and it's not really that big of a deal. You can, this got brought up in our campaign the other night on Wednesday. The DM says, "All right, listen, we're going to encounter a drow encampment. For all intents and purposes, in my campaign, drow are evil." He's like, full stop, which is fine, right? You can adopt or alter or homebrew some of the rule sets, and it doesn't.
Well,
that's the
ahead.
Quintessential essence of it. It's a sandbox. Yeah, trigger. Trigger one ahead.
Steve said, Orc staying as monsters in Monster Race in his campaign. They're staying, that way in mine as well.
Yes,
they could, somebody wants to play an Orc, they can play an Orc. It doesn't matter to me. I'm also still keeping half, races or half species. Ooh, sorry. They're appealing to the kids because if they weren't, we wouldn't have been bombarded for 6 months with Lego D&D crap.
Right. Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Hasbro, and I remember this vividly from the last 6 months of working at a WotC retail store. When Hasbro purchased Wizards, it went from all D&D stuff and role-playing games and like games like Avalon Hill and books and miniatures, and we had 714 different flavors of Monopoly.
Yep, which we still do.
So I mean, they've saturated the market with Monopoly like Wizards saturated the market with 4 ebooks.
Yeah,
and they oversaturated it.
And it'll course correct, right? I mean, and it's not even when you read it. So I pulled it up here. When you choose your character species, you determine whether your character is a human or a member of a fantastical species such as Dragonborn or Gnome. Peoples of the D&D multiverse hail from different worlds and include many kinds of sapient life forms. A player character species is the set of game traits that the adventurer gains from being one of those life forms. Some species can trace their origins to a single world, plane of existence, or god, while other species first appeared in multiple realms at once. Whatever species genesis, its members have spread across the multiverse and contribute to many different cultures. Members of most species live for about 80 years, with exceptions noted in the text above the species in this chapter, regardless of lifespan. Members of all species reach physical maturity about the same age. Your character can be at any age and that isn't beyond their species' normal lifespan. Like, the change is just a change in phrasing and wording and classification, right, if you will. It's not really the button of outrage that it needs to be that you see on some of these Dungeons and Dragons YouTube channels, right? It's not that big.
Well, those YouTube channels are all clickbait, Dungeons and Discourse and what have you. So I don't even bother clicking on that when I know for a fact, and I literally hit the button and tell YouTube, don't recommend this channel to me because I don't want to see it.
Species completionist.
We could have one of them. 6th edition.
That'll be in the Lemornia update. There's no more racial completions. It's species completionists. No, but it's my only complaint with this, with the changing from race to species, is this should have just been. My only complaint is the half races, right? The half species. Mm-hmm. They should have put in a blurb about half species. They shouldn't have just have done away with them. Mm. They should have said it. Where, whatever have you, if they don't want to have it part of their core rule sets, but at least have some guidance for a dungeon master, right? Maybe put it in the DM's guide. Give some
Mhm.
guidance for the dungeon master if they wanted to include half species in their campaigns. Like, don't lean into it heavily, and
Mhm.
make it dogma, but at least just put a blurb in there. That's my
Mhm.
only gripe with the
Yeah.
2024 changes.
For me, I hope all the half orcs and half elves that are out there protest it at WotC headquarters. Get your torches and pitchforks and signs ready, and yeah, go protest outside of WotC headquarters. And that's a joke, of course. So that's
The no calls to action. That's not endorsed officially by the channel.
no. Steve said it. The rules are just the guideline, and
E-
that's the perfect way to put it. You can
exactly.
homebrew until you're blue in the face. I'm
Exactly.
going to do that myself. Yep. I wanted to move on here so I can get through this list that I have. The expanded character options. So again, the playable species, uh, Azamar or Azamar, what have you, and Goliath, two species that I've played in pen and paper. Really good. It's again, I'm gonna use that word, more diverse character choices, which I like. And to be perfectly honest with you, the way I played the 40 plus years I've played, play whatever you want. I don't mind. If you can roll up a character for it, roll up a character for it. We'll find a way to make it work. Um, Revised backgrounds, they put in these backgrounds and it's helpful, but I think the onus is on the player to make your background jive with your character. And I think using these revised backgrounds along with a background, whether I mean, you and I have talked about, yeah, we plug it into AI and let AI do it, or we come up with something if we're feeling, you know, creative. Whatever you have or however you want to do it, if you put those hand in hand, it'll work and your character will be a great character. Um, the enhanced gameplay mechanics. I like the weapon mastery game mechanic. I think it's going to be great. I mean, we see it in some games right now. And I'm blanking on any games that actually use weapon mastery, but I know there's a few CRPG games that still do it. Do you know of, or can you think of any off the top of your head that use
Trying to
weapon mastery?
I'm trying to think if perhaps
Yeah.
Baldur's Gate 3. Trying to think. I didn't play a melee type.
Well, we still haven't finished our
No. But I
what we
think I think
started.
Baldur's Gate 3 might. So the weapon mastery stuff I do like because you can kind of lean into your favorite weapon and you have some status effects of what you want to do. I know
Mhm.
for me, I think the changes to Great Sword were pretty good because they added cleave,
Yep.
which was nice change.
Mhm. Yep.
I'm just trying to think, are there any species that they dropped off that were in the 2014 rule sets that they're not in the
I
2025
didn't
rule sets?
see any, and I was actively looking for it, and I didn't see any that were other than the half species.
Yeah, so 2025 or 2024 is Asimar, Dragonborn, Dwarf, Elf,
Mhm.
and then
Mhm.
you have the Drow, High Elves, Wood Elves,
Mhm.
Gnomes, Goliath, Halfling, Human, Orc, and Tiefling.
Mhm.
Was there anything in 2014 core rulebook that differs from that? I'm gonna look real quick while you.
Not that I remember. The I don't have it handy on me. The subclasses again are another uh great thing that they've added in the way they've worked the subclasses. the biggest part of the new the 2024 players handbook is the classes section. That was a very lengthy section and chapter. But what they've done with subclasses is pretty good. For the game mechanics, I want to get back to the game mechanics. Potion usage. Potions can now be consumed or administered to others as a bonus action, streamlining gameplay and reducing downtime. I find that great. Um,
So I watched something the other day from a 5e developer that he had an argument. Before I bring that up though, I'm going to circle back. So it looks like in 2014 core rule set, it was dwarf, elf, halfling, human, dragonborn, gnome, half elf, half orc, and tiefling. So 2024, the additions were Goliath, orc, and Aasimar. So that's the differences. And then obviously they dropped off the halves and added those other three races. So I was watching a video from a developer, and his argument was bonus actions slow down combat. And his reasoning was, if players, and again, you have to have a talk with your players, in my opinion, but if players aren't prepared, they sit around and they mull over, oh wait, I have a bonus action. You should be prepared to engage in your bonus action.
Then that's something you address in your session 0.
Exactly.
So what lump of hot air was this guy?
I'll send you the link, but it was interesting because I kind of get it, but I've only seen that a couple times while sitting at a table, but that's up to the player though, right? Like me, I'm always, when I'm doing my action, I'm always mentally preparing to be looking at my bonus action and seeing if it's applicable. That way I don't bog down combat. But right. you sit at a table with some people, and one table I sat at, the person was on their phone the whole session until it came to them, and they would, oh, what? I mean, that's just human nature. That can't really be helped.
No, at my table you don't have your phone. Period.
Exactly.
I don't care. I don't care. It's like going into a restaurant. When I ran a kitchen, I told the owner, I said, I'm not going to put out, dishes to diners while they have phones in their faces in their phones, and then complain about it being cold or there's something being wrong with it when they've had their face in their phone and the plate's been sitting in front of them for 10 minutes. So there was a rule, no phones in the dining room.
Yep.
And it made the dining experience better. And just like that, having no phones at a table, have a tablet if you have D&D Beyond up with a character sheet. That's fine. But don't be sitting there texting or watching YouTube videos while you're playing at my table. I'll ask you to leave, and you'll never come back to my table. Period. And so, bonus action, you say, listen, as a DM, this was what I would do. We're sitting down at our session 0, and I'm going to be like, listen, to keep gameplay flowing, right? Please be ready. Please have, think ahead of what you're going to do. Like this is basically a chess game, but it's D&D.
Right.
Think 2 steps ahead, or even 1 step ahead. But please, just And this guy, and I will save final judgment for after I watch the video. But I mean, come on. I mean, bonus actions I think are great, right? But you gotta nip that stuff in the butt before everything gets out of hand and out of whack.
Yeah, no, I agree. Right. So what I do is typically while other players are taking their turns, I'm already looking at my my actions, whether I'm going to attack with melee, if I'm going to cast a spell, and then I also contemplate, okay, if this happens, what bonus actions do I have available? I think that's more of a player maintenance and micromanaging yourself. than
Yeah,
than a problem with an actual game mechanic.
yeah. And I mean, we talked about it in private where, we don't like the Ben Stein delivery of,
Right.
well, this is what I'm gonna do
Yeah,
next,
yeah.
and drag the game. It's like show some energy. That's what we were talking about. Well, show some initiative as a player and make sure you're paying attention to your DM because your DM was going to look at you and go, "I don't want you at my table. You're dragging the rest of this group down. If the rest of the group has their shit together, why do I want you being the anchor? You don't." So I don't. I'll save final judgment for after I watch that video. But
Yeah,
this guy
I'm
sounds like a unit.
scrolling through my history now, and I'll drop it in chat if I find it.
So the other things, there's 3 more things on my list here. The expanded spell list and spell revisions were great. I think the range of magical options available to players is awesome. 30 additional spells, um, rebalanced spells like True Strike and various healing spells to improve game balance and clarity. I thought were vast improvements from 2014. The improved crafting system. I'm not as much a crafting when I play character, but the
Some
crafting system I have in my notes here. The crafting system has been revamped to address community feedback, combining elements from previous editions to create a more streamlined and engaging experience.
some
And then I
people
have
are
a
up.
final one. And then I have a final one, but go ahead.
There's a guy at my table, and he's huge into crafting, but I
Mm,
think some of the tweaks might be a little overpowered, or you can metagame it just a little bit, in my opinion. But again, that's for the DM to kind of pull the
mhm,
reins in.
mhm,
There was one with attunement. The
mhm.
change to attunement can be a little bit overpowered or can be abused, in my opinion.
I think this I think 5th edition was a a door opening for characters to be more powerful after 5th level, and when they get after when they advance beyond 5th level, I think they get a little too powerful, and, with all the balance and all the balancing they've done, I think it's better, but yes, things like attunement, like you said, I think that adds that. Um But this last one, I kind of disagree with it. Long rests now require at least 16 hours between them and includes rules for interruptions, adding strategic depth to rest periods. I've always been a long rest is 8 hours and a short rest is like 4, maybe even 2. Depends on how I'm feeling during that campaign. Um, I don't know if I like the 16-hour thing, but again, I have not used these revised rules, so I can't really say, and maybe I'll change my mind, who knows? But other than that, um, that's what I got for that.
So I had something, um, and it was so this was the video. I'm dropping it in chat now, real quick. So I had something that was something about 2024 versus 2014. So it was a instance of Evard's black tentacles, right?
Mhm,
And there was back and forth because somebody was using the app, right? And we've talked about this before too, where in the app it's now defaulted to 2024 rule sets. And our campaign is 2014 rule set. So they were a warlock was utilizing Evard's, and they were trying to utilize They ended up firing it off from the 2024 rules instead of 2014. But it was for, I'm sorry, correction. It was the DM, and it was a monster. And it actually popped into my head that even for variants, right? It's okay for in my opinion, it's okay for the DM to hot swap between the two, especially if he wants some randomness or different effects, but not for players. I think that was a discussion that we had at our table the other day. We were saying how the players should adopt whatever rule set that we've determined that the campaign is running with, but that the DM should be able to hot swap between the two, because you get different effects or different results from it. So we using Evard's. I'll use Evard's for the example real quick. Let me see if I can make sure I don't have two of the same.
So I got up on my screen. A long rest is a period of extended downtime, at least 8 hours long, which I hold fast to that 8-hour rule. Short rest is usually an hour long, and I would go anywhere from 1 to 4. And I'm trying to think back to, because I don't think your group that I run on Saturdays has ever, not once, taken a short rest. I might be wrong, but
Okay, so I have the differences pulled up for an example. And this is this is the idea that I came up with. Was I said, hey, let the players be strictly adherent to the 2014 rule set, because that's what our campaign's being run in. Hey, Nacho. But the DM should be able to take liberties and flip-flop between the two, because then it also... No, Nacho, you're not getting me with that one. Because then it builds some randomness, right? So Evard's in the 2024 rule set. It's casting time is action, range is 90 feet, concentration up to 1 minute. And I'll read the description. Squirming ebony tentacles fill a 20-foot square on the ground that you can see within range. For this duration, these tentacles turn the ground into an area of difficult terrain. Each creature in that area makes a strength saving throw. On a failed save, it takes 3d6 bludgeoning damage, and it has the restrained condition until the spell ends. A creature also makes a save if it enters the area or ends its turn there. A creature makes that save only once per turn. A restrained creature can take an action to make a strength athletics check against your spell save DC, ending the condition on itself on a success. So, and the change between that was, here's the 2014. At one action, 90 feet, concentration 1 minute. Squirming enemy tentacles fill 20-foot square on the ground that you can see within range. For the duration, these tentacles turn the ground into difficult terrain. When a creature enters the affected area for the first time on a turn or starts its turn in there, the creature must succeed on a dex saving throw or take 3d6 bludgeoning damage and be restrained by the tentacles until the spell ends. A creature that starts its turn in the area is already restrained by the tentacles. Take 3d6 bludgeoning damage. Creature restrained by the tentacles can use its action to make a strength or a dexterity check. It's your choice against your spell save of the DC. So 2014 was dex based, and then you could do strength or dex. And 2024, it's strength based only. And the reason why it got brought up is obviously because the person was metagaming, because they had a high dex and they were being told to call for a strength check. It was just interesting, and I was like, well, just leave it up to the DM. The DM can make it whatever version he wants, right? It shouldn't be that big of a deal.
Nope. I agree. So that's all I got. Overall, if I were to give it a grade, it'd be like an A minus, B plus
For the new edition.
for the new edition, the player's handbook, the stuff that they've done.
The only problem that I have with the new edition was I feel like there should have been some transitional guidance. A lot of
The new
people a lot of people are having trouble, especially when they're utilizing D&D Beyond the app while playing.
Mhm.
It
Mhm.
it abruptly just defaulted over to 2024 rule set, so it's causing some
Mhm.
hiccups when we're sitting down to play.
Oh, absolutely. It wasn't handled correctly. So when everything was 2014, I had the encounters lit, screen, and I had everything perfect. And then they went with maps, and that was perfect because everything was still 2014. And then when they made the new changes, it went right to 2024. So I had in maps was all the 2024 info and data, but in D&D Beyond, the encounters screen with all your encounters and stuff is still 2014
In my
stats
in
and
my
data.
opinion, they need a drop down, right? Kind of, you want to run 2014 or you want to run 2024 in D&D Beyond. It needs a drop down
That
somewhere.
that's one solution. Yeah, or they could have just stuck fast and just said, "Okay, um, one or the other. Which one is it?" Because the legacy stuff, it's the same thing. I mean, there's small changes here and there, but it's pretty much the same thing as and
Well, it is, but when you run into a rules lawyer, right?
oh yeah,
that that's where
yeah.
it kind of it bogs down the game just a little bit because you
Mhm.
spend more time, you're eating up playtime with somebody airing their case on the rules,
Well,
especially if they're mistaken and they, you know, it's now defaulted to
that's
2024.
the that's when I tell them to go visit Judge Judy and to not, leave that out of there. So, Gears Presents, thank you for the follow, much appreciated. Welcome to the channel. We're sitting here talking about D&D 2024 edition. And I think, yeah, I think that we're good there. I'm keeping an eye on my clock here, so you're up. I'm not gonna do the DM thing, so why don't you have your 17-minute video presentation?
I do. So, Unearth Arcana is there. Was there an Unearth? I don't believe there. I had the first edition Unearth Arcana. I don't believe, was there a fourth edition Unearth Arcana?
No, they were probably 7
I mean,
Unearthed Arcanas in 4th edition.
fourth did have a lot, but
I mean, there
for
was only, what, 5 monster manuals, 6 DM guides, and 8 player's handbooks
for
for 4th
for
edition.
for an iteration that lasted what, sub 3 years.
3
So
yeah, 2 to 3 years, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so I do have this. So they're coming up with Unearth Arcana, and there's going to be some Eberron updates too. So that's good. Here's what I really like about 2024 is they're paying homage to Eberron.
Mhm.
I believe they have something coming out for the Forgotten Realms as well.
Yes. Campaign
Uh,
guide and player's guide.
yes. And now I'm hearing was the first I heard about it with Eberron's getting some updates too. So like
Mhm.
all the major, realms are getting kind of a little bit of a facelift, which is great.
Well, you'd know about the Eberron stuff if you follow Keith Baker on Blue Sky, like I do. We're gonna save that for a private chat, are we?
We're going to segue into the video. And let me fire it up and we'll watch together. I will pause if there's something that that you want to hit on, and we'll just discuss it briefly. But I'm going to let this play.
Correct? What is this new UA?
So the new UA returns to the Artificer class that scored very well in the surveys last time, but we still wanted to put the class back out with some.
So right there, I just want to touch surveys. Exactly, like to circle back to what we said about Dungeons and Dragons Online. Player surveys, user surveys. Get the surveys out, right? Give the people kind of what they want.
Mm-hmm.
Key tweaks so that people could see, especially some changes to replicate magic item as well as the class's 20th level feature. But we especially wanted to send the Artificer back out so that it could accompany a brand new subclass that Mackenzie will talk about shortly. But we also, this is a classic, but wait, there's more.
Right.
We also included over 20 new feats that represent a new way for characters to be part of the wonderful dragon-marked houses in the world of Eberron. And for anyone who doesn't know about the dragon-marked houses, it's a mix of sort of like family and commercial groups that are almost like corporations in some cases,
Right, yeah.
where one of the key unifying elements for many of the leaders of these groups are that they bear these dragon marks on their bodies, these magical tattoo-like sigils that give them magical powers. In Eberron, Rising from the Last War, we represented having one of these dragon marks with species options. And so in many cases, if you wanted to be a member of a particular house and have the dragon mark, as opposed to being a member of the house without a dragon mark,
Right.
you had to make that decision at character creation. That works well in Eberron Rising from the Last War, and everyone is free to continue to use that approach with either the 2014 rules or the 2024 rules. But we wanted to explore a new direction that allows for some of the narratives in Eberron where sometimes a dragon mark doesn't manifest on a person until later in their life. And if you lock the choice to character creation, well, that can't happen. And so we wanted you to be able to have these stories of, well, I didn't start with one of these dragon marks, but partway through my career, oh my gosh, here it is. We also wanted to allow for something that is occasionally bubbled up in Eberron narratives, and that is that sometimes the dragon marks even appear on people who are not a member of the sort of founding species for a particular house. Again, if someone isn't familiar with the story of Eberron, the dragon mark houses each sort of emerged within a particular species. And so then most of the people who have the dragon marks are members of the same species. But you sometimes have these people who are not a member of that group who manifest the mark. And we wanted to make that possible too. And so how we're doing that is through feats, and then also there will be backgrounds that use these feats in the Eberron book coming out later this year. But here in this Unearthed Arcana, we're zeroing in on the feats so that we can get people's feedback on this truckload of feat options.
It is a truckload.
And we not only have a starter feat for every single one of the dragon marked houses, we also have a feat for someone who has an aberrant dragon mark, and that is a dragon mark not associated with any of the houses. And if anyone is curious, the character Vi, who I play sometimes in Acquisitions Incorporated, she's from Eberron, and she has an aberrant mark. But again, another case of, but wait, there's more. We don't just have those starter feats, we also then have feats that build on them. So if you want your character to grow more powerful with your dragon mark, you can. And we also have introduced an epic boon feat that represents having a mark of Sybaris, which is an especially powerful, sort of amped up version of a dragon mark. All of this together will provide brand new ways for people to interact with the dragon marked houses in Eberron. And whether, again, a character is a member of, one of the founding families or their descendants, or a person who just has discovered magically that they are now a part of one of these houses. And we look forward to seeing people's feedback on these when the survey opens up.
And we've got a brand new subclass included in this UA, correct?
So we have, in this UA, we have the new cartographer subclass for the artificer, which is really exciting. Whenever we're designing things for the artificer, Jeremy likes to sort of tackle the artificer from the problem of what kind of role this sort of character would have in the last war. And so, we have our artillerists, we have our tanks with the armorer, we have our healers, and our companion fighting side by side with the battlesmith and the steel defender. But what we don't have is a person who is all about scouting and movement and finding things. Looking at history, there's a lot of usage of cartography and scouting to help people in battle move advantageously, find the targets they're looking for. And so we wanted to really hone in on a class that delivers that sort of feeling, while also staying true to the artificer's main narrative as being a person who makes something. And that doesn't necessarily have to be just with like metal or tinkering or like robotics. It can be craftsmanship, it can be textiles, it can be maps, which is the heart of what the cartographer does and makes. So this is a subclass that is meant to be very focused on movement, being connected to place, but also being connected to finding things and highlighting threats to help your allies.
And when we start off playing this cartographer,
Yes.
what are some of the key abilities?
So at the very top, like all of our other artificer subclasses, the cartographer gets proficiency with a handful of specific artisan tools, as well as, in this case, calligraphy supplies and cartographer's tools, which feels like a given.
Yeah. Seems appropriate.
Seems appropriate, but also similar to how other artificers
pause
have a
it?
little bit of an easier time crafting certain magic items, cartographers have an easier time crafting spell scrolls. Again, sort of leaning into that pen and paper and that careful study. You also get, like many of our artificers, a list of always prepared spells,
Can you pause that
which is
for a minute?
super fun. You'll
Yep.
see spells on here.
Paused.
So we're gonna have cartographers and calligraphy tools and stuff like that. Does this mean? Let me read this. Does that mean we're gonna have to start opening up Hobby Lobbies or Michaels in D&D now?
So
Are we
it's-
bringing Michaels to DDO?
No, so we just actually had something like this in our campaign. So my DM, we were in a school of magic, kind of like a Hogwarts per se, right?
Mhm, mhm.
And we all took different classes, and what the DM did was he said, okay, this will help your skills, and if you take enough of these classes, you'll get a +1 to persuasion or a +1 to religion, and if you take them to completion, you might even develop a proficiency in that skill. So what he did was there was cartography, right?
Mhm.
And we were like, well, how does that translate? And what he said is, well, if you're a cartographer, I'll kind of open up a little bit more of the map for you, kind of
Mhm.
alleviate some of the fog of war, or you may kind of recognize something on the map where, because how if you're familiar, you're a DM, right? There's, especially in D&D Beyond, there's the DM map,
Mhm.
and then there's the player map. And he said, what I'll do if you get proficient in cartography is I will reveal a little bit more from the DM map to you than I would just the vanilla player map. So
Right.
be kind of interested to see how cartography as a subclass, a cartographer, is going to flesh out in the actual rule sets. I haven't watched this video, so I have no idea how they're going to implement that, but it is interesting.
I've had people do that, and I've done the same exact thing. I've opened that map out for them and opened it up a lot more. That somebody got the tools, and yeah, I've done pretty much the same thing. And It's worked out good. I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I don't know if it deserves a subclass of being if anybody's familiar with the military, a Cav Scout, the equivalent of a Cav Scout, but
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see what else they have to say here.
Here that are very divination focused, things like locate creature, as well as some fun spells that utilize movement better and help highlight targets for both you and your allies. Speaking of your allies, that leads into the sort of highlight the banner 3rd level feature, Adventurer's Atlas, which is the, like we've said with all artificers are keyed to making something. The alchemist makes its elixirs, the battlesmith makes its companion, all those different things. So the cartographer makes these magical maps. I like to think of it as like your personal friend GPS, because how it sort of functions is you make these maps and you key them to certain characters. And while the characters have these maps, they get certain benefits. I like to think of it, one of the ways you can manifest it narratively is like having the map and you can just see like the dots moving anywhere on the same plane of existence. So you can just always know where your friend is. And that gives you a couple of benefits. It gives you a little boost to initiative because you're going to be more aware of your surroundings and your topography because of that map. But very excitingly, it allows you to target another creature who's holding a map, essentially another creature you can see whose dot is on your little map. You can target them regardless of actually seeing them. If an effect like a spell requires you to see your target, such as like Healing Word, you need to see your target. So that allows you to, like, if your rogue is hiding, you can still target them as long as you have the map and you can see their position. You can also target them.
So Dungeons and Dragons now has Blue Force Tracker. Okay. The United States military Blue Force Tracker in D&D. I mean, interesting.
In later levels, using like your Flash of Genius. You don't have to have line of sight.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Like if they're swallowed in like a purple worm's gullet.
Yeah.
You can't see them, but you have like their location on the map, so you can still target them through the map, even if you don't actually have direct line of sight with them.
Yeah.
It's this really fun way of like playing with location in a magical sense that provides a lot of utility, not just for the artificer, but for the artificer's allies. And very importantly, you can be one of the people holding this map. Like sometimes I think we get caught up in giving like a lot of our other party members like all the cool stuff. You can also benefit from your Adventurer's Atlas. You can be one of the characters keyed to it, which also allows like your cleric friend to still see you if you happen to keel over behind a wall and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, that's an amazing build. Yeah,
Yes.
that is something that is, it's very unique and
Yes.
it makes you a great support character.
Yes, and yeah, and it was one of those things where it was really fun, again, playing with the idea of location and place, of seeing things, highlighting things, and giving your companions a little bit of an edge. In addition to all of that wonderful stuff, you also get a little bit of a personal boost to yourself. So in the event that you decide to give your maps to everyone else, like, you know, your cleric or your bard, you know, they have a much better use for seeing people, or you need to give your fighter a little bit more of a boost to their initiative, you still have some awesome abilities with your own scouting gadgets. So this kind of manifests in two ways. You have a radar, which lets you sort of ping and highlight creatures, allowing them to see. It's fairy fire, but it's thematically we like to think of it as like, you know, you're pinging creatures, you're being able to highlight them so that way you can see them, revealing invisible creatures, all that sorts of things. And then my personal favorite, as a person who loves spamming the jetpack in like little video games, you have a boost ability. It's a little bit like it is a mini teleport. So instead of moving on your turn, you can expend half your movement and just poof. A short little distance. It's a great for like getting away from creatures when you don't need or you don't have the action to disengage. It's really great for just like jumping up like a little bit of a level when you can't climb.
Yeah.
And this is really leaning into that cartographer's idea of movement and being tied to the magic of of place and location.
And then at level 5, you get some.
You get a little bit more boost for your boost.
You get more boost for the boost.
You get more boost for your boost. So at level 5, you get to teleport even farther. I like to think of it of you are the map person, you know all these locations, and now you can sort of like open up these portals because you are so magically tied to the knowledge of these locations. You can just open up these portals in the air and move obscene distances with just like with a snap of the fingers. You can also teleport some of the to people that are carrying the maps you've made, almost like a homing beacon. So that gives you another way to use this feature that is really tactical for like getting to a creature and shoving a potion down their mouth, or getting to a creature so you can intercept an attack from them. Like if they're getting ganged up on by a bunch of, like a mob of enemies, you can teleport right next to them and help kind of spread out the damage or be a meat shield.
And then you get more teleportation,
You
correct?
always get more teleportation.
There's way more. This is a very good artificer to hang with the Feywild Warlock.
Like one of the things that we found that the Artificer kind of needed was a very movement utility
There's
focused.
too much teleportation.
Like that is
That's getting a little ridiculous.
It's a little
The amount of
Doctor
Everybody
Strange
knows-
levels.
yeah, exactly. Everybody can teleport now, just like everybody had dark vision.
Yeah, everybody's got Misty Step. I mean, I'll hold my opinion till the end, but
Yeah.
something that we don't quite really have yet. So that's why this Artificer is just sort of bopping all over the map.
And also kind of the person in the chair
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yep. They know a lot of things and they can move out of the way. And then the other thing is that a lot of their knowing a lot of things spells happen to be like concentration spells, like Fairy Fire. And being able to bop out of danger and go, bye.
yeah, absolutely,
Exactly.
Demetrius. Everybody getting Dark Vision kind of it negates the fact of it being special. That's like saying everybody's got trap finding abilities,
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
really good for keeping
or
the
everybody can use scrolls. That kind of was a little lame for me too.
that concentration, which we also buff a little
That's a
bit
very good
later.
point.
we buff a little bit later in the subclass as well. But yes, at level 9, we give you a fun way to interact with your Flash of Genius. Sort of, again, keying off this, the way that your intellect and your magic manifests is with this ability to tactically position people. When you use your Flash of Genius, you can teleport 30 feet, or you can teleport a creature you can see. And this also works really well with the map you have, because if you can't see a creature normally, but you have them on your map,
Yeah.
you can still activate Flash of Genius, and you can still move them to a spot that you can see, even if you can't see them. So again, if they're stuck in someone's gullet, or they're behind a wall and kind of locked down from enemies, you can pull them out of those situations.
How far does that work?
30 feet.
30 feet. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Same
you
range
still
as
need to be physically 30
Yes.
feet of them. Yeah.
Yes. It's really easy to remember because the effect that keys off Flash of Genius is the same range as Flash of Genius.
Yeah. And then after that.
Yes,
if
and then after that, your key map, the map that you've been giving to all your friends, gets an even bigger and better buff. Like we mentioned previously, while these maps exist, you can't lose concentration from taking damage. It also gives a way to, if someone who is carrying this map gets reduced to 0 hit points, it gives them a essentially auto-save teleport.
Make that
Yeah.
note
Where
in
if
the
they can
chat,
take the
by
map
way.
and destroy it and then be teleported to someone else who is holding a map immediately, as soon as they get dropped. And then you get immediately stabilized as well. So it's a really good way of just if you give your cleric the map, and your cleric is one of the people in this network of maps, if you drop down, you can immediately get teleported 5 feet next to the cleric, so
Oh,
that way
nice,
they can
yeah.
easily heal you and get you back up. Or you can have someone behind total cover who maybe doesn't need to be actively shooting or be actively frontline combat, but can have a safe little healing tent. And then when someone gets down, they get immediately teleported to the healing tent to be revived or to take care of themselves. It's this really nice safe ability where you can pull your companions into a safe place, so that way they don't get at risk for getting hit with more damage while they're unconscious.
Yeah.
The other thing, which again seems really appropriate, like Cartographer's tools, you can cast Find the Path if you're holding a map. It seemed appropriate.
Yeah.
It's the map class should be able to cast the find your way feature, or find your way spell. So that one, we give you that one for free, and as long as you are one of the people that you have keyed your map to, you can use that wonderful magical map of yours to just cast that spell.
So you get the benefits of this map, but you can also hand this map to somebody else.
Yes.
Okay.
It is intended to be that way because there are some. So there are some spells on this subclass's spell list that work really well with you having the map. So like Healing Word and Haste, as well as like other Artificer features like Flash of Genius, all work really well keying off of you have to see the target.
Yeah.
And so when you have this map, that allows you that sort of tactical positioning to still be able to see the target even if you don't have direct line of sight of them. But there are some characters or some classes that might benefit more from having more abilities that sort of key off of being able to see creatures. So we wanted to give you and build in this flexibility so that way from day to day you can go, okay, I'm gonna have the map for this day because I need to see people for X, Y, and Z. The next day, okay, I'm gonna make a new set of maps that's not going to include me, but is going to include my cleric and my bard friends, so that way they can use their features way more effectively during this combat.
Mackenzie, thank you so much.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, definitely interesting and inventive, for sure. But there's a reason why, at least in pen and paper, I would shy away from Eberron. Yeah, the concept does have potential. It does, but it's just not my flavor.
Right.
But you know, there are people in my group. He's playing an artificer, and he would be all about that. I just wouldn't. I'm more traditional, you know, first edition type, kind of low to moderate magic in my campaign settings. But
yeah, I mean, it's like what I put in the chat. Just like everyone that hangs out with a cleric Ashar gets 360 feet of dark vision because they're hanging out with a cleric Ashar. I mean, everybody's going to be acting like a blink dog now that they have teleport, right? And I don't. There's some of this that I will have to monitor for misuse and address it at a table. Hopefully not, but you never know. I haven't had anybody try to exploit anything since. Remember when I told you about the guy that I played second and third edition with, and he'd always exploit the deck of many things,
right.
that kind of a deal. If nobody's exploiting it like that, great, you know. But yeah, okay.
Would you ever play a Eberron campaign setting in pen and paper?
I don't know. I really couldn't tell you. Maybe a little bit to start to get a good feel of it. It's drastically different than DDO by far.
Yeah.
So
just DDO is constrained by the video game parameters where, you know, obviously it's not pen and paper. So
yeah. So that's all I got, and I'm about coming up on my time before I have to go hop on another call.
yeah,
I don't know if you had anything else.
No, that was it. I was going to wrap it up with that. I thought it was also a good segue because we had talked at the front-loaded Dungeons and Dragons Online into our D&D discussion. So I thought that was pretty good that we kind of piggybacked some Eberron pen and paper lore and some changes in case anybody from the DDO community might not be familiar with pen and paper. But Eberron's a very, very rich campaign setting. And that's where DDO is. So, but I don't have anything. I thought it was a great episode. Good talk. Really enjoyed the discussion about the Dungeons and Dragons upcoming PAX East in May. That'll be fun. Other than that, I'm looking forward to the changes, and the return of Ravenloft is pretty cool. So we'll have to see.
It'll be interesting to see how they handle Lamortia in DDO for sure. And
I mean, after sampling Cormier, I'm ready just to be off the Linus. These
Yeah.
server transfers need to happen
Right.
ASAP.
Well,
It's-
right. Well, that'll happen.
yeah, I'm glad that it's moving
Hopefully
forward and
sooner.
making progress. Yeah, hopefully
Mhm.
sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
If they fix the issues, yes. If they fix
Exactly.
the issues.
Exactly.
If they fix
Yep.
them. Hopefully they will. And Axel actually had a podcast the other day that was pretty good. He was talking about stuff like that, about the changes. So, and speaking of Axel, I'm going to go ahead and send a raid over to Axel.
Well, why don't we both raid him then?
Axel Alex K. Thank you everybody for stopping in. I appreciate it. Thank you for Brackart for the raid. That was awesome. Really, really exciting. Getting a influx of some new viewers. So I hope everybody had a good time. It was great seeing some new faces and some old faces as well. And thank you, Demetrius. Thank you, Neutral Agent. Thank you, Natural Wench. And thank you to you, Todd, for the engagement. I really appreciate it. It's been fun. I had a great time.
Been a blast, and yeah, we'll be back in a couple weeks, and
Yeah.
we'll have some more stuff. And
Every 2 weeks. Todd and I are doing this every 2 weeks where we talk a little bit about DDO and also Dungeons and Dragons pen and paper. So if you guys are interested in either of those topics, please come visit us at 7 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays, bi-weekly.
Yep.
So thanks, everybody. I really appreciate the views and the engagement. And I'm going to send this over to... Oh, I'm going to wait on Axel because he just went, be right back. Of course. Of course he went, be right back. So I'm going to wait
Well,
till
we'll
he
be
comes
here.
back.
Yeah, right. We'll be here. We'll be on, we're streaming together. So there's, my stream, your stream, and glad you got the raid tonight. I got Tavern Tales was the last time. I got Tavern Tales raided me last time. So.
Oh,
good to
nice.
see you get raided.
Nice. Yeah, very
Um,
good. Very nice, Demetrius. 5e. Yeah, 5e's fun. So my real quick, my experience has been I hadn't played Dungeons and Dragons since I was about 14, and when I was 14, it was first edition. So I recently just got back into it myself too. I always wanted to, was intimidated. Went to game stores, was kind of very shy, and then I said, you know what? If I don't do it now, at my age, I'll never do it. So I jumped back in probably November and started playing again. Yeah, first was way different, but I am so glad that I have. I've met some amazing people, both on the DDO hemisphere and also in the pen and paper hemisphere. And Todd and I think soonish, we'll be putting together, hopefully, a campaign, but we'll do it through Discord and we'll be using Foundry.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
should be fun. So thanks,
All right,
everybody.
he's back.
He's back.
And I gotta get rolling. So I gotta raid and run. We're gonna both of us, Warhammer and I, are gonna raid Axel Alex K. He's playing a revamped monk. So
Yep. So there you go. We can segue right into the monk. All right. Thanks,
Alrighty.
everyone. Catch everybody soon.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Appreciate it.